All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Patriots Drive podcast. This is Jason Cole, and today we're going over the 5 most likely defensive players the Patriots can acquire as we're coming close to the legal tampering period that's coming up. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, stay up to date. We'll have clips coming out once we know more about who is signed with the Patriots and elsewhere around the league. But Cole, let's get right into it. This is a guy in the secondary that we think might be able to fill a role if J.C. Jackson does not return like it's sounding like it. But who is it?
Yeah, so this player is Casey Hayward Jr. And I know some of you guys might say, well, he's a zone corner, and he is. He's a cornerback that fits a zone heavy scheme. This pick is very specific to if the Patriots want to continue with their trend of last season and continue to play more zone coverage, which worked out for the most part last season. And if they can't acquire a top corner in the draft and somebody in free agency, their cornerback depth is going to be very thin. And I think you can get away with more playing zone coverage with bad corners than playing man coverage, because in man-to-man, you can get severely exposed. Sometimes in zone coverage, some corners have a little bit of an easier time, and you can scheme things up a little differently with everybody's eyes towards the quarterback and stuff like that. So Casey Hayward, he's a little bit older. He's 32 and a half years old pretty much right now. His projected contract is 1 year, $6.5 million annually. Not too bad for a guy who was graded as the 12th highest cornerback grade via PFF this year. So that's pretty good. Pretty good value for a guy that can produce that well if you end up wanting to play more zone coverage like that. So I think that's an option if that's the route they go. I don't think that's the route they'll go. I think they want to still play more man coverage, which is why you'll see some of the picks that we have coming up here. But at number 5, Casey Hayward Jr. is my pick, guy who will play quite well in a zone heavy system if the Patriots continue to go with that trend.
Yeah, he's a little up there in age, but he's going to be on the cheaper end of the contract. Bring him in, maybe have someone come in behind him in the draft, or a younger guy that can develop, and he can kind of be a bridge player. So it's not going to be a long-term deal, but short-term, he's playing some of his best football in Vegas last year. So see what you can do. The next guy, this is if Devin McCourty doesn't come back. This is staying in the secondary. We're going with safety Marcus May from the Jets. He's a good scheme fit. I think that he plays good free safety role. He can come down. He can hit you in the mouth. He's not afraid to do that. I think he was a little unhappy with the Jets last year. He wants out. Right now, PFF is suggesting that he was only going to get a 1 year, $6 million contract. If that's all he wants, maybe a prove-it deal. New England can get him in here, continue to develop a Joshua Bledsoe type of guy, or figure out if they do want to move Jalen Mills or someone else to free safety. And then Marcus May can go chase the money the next year. But I think that Marcus May is a good free safety option here. He had 32 tackles last year, no interceptions, but he covers good ground in the post. He kind of filled a good role with once Jamal Adams left, and he can kind of play both, even though we need him more as a free safety. But this is a guy that I look at that's cheap, maybe comes in on a prove-it deal, and Bill can take advantage of him for a year.
Yeah, both these top 2 guys I think would be short-term options, but they would fill a necessary role for that year. So Casey Hayward, he'd be a 1 year rental probably, to let a guy that you draft hopefully in this draft, develop for a year and progress more in the system. And then maybe next year there's more free agent corners that you keep your eye on and you like those better, or the guy develops and can play more of a starting role. But you don't want to draft a corner and have him be your number 1 corner the very first year in the system. That's going to be a lot on one guy's plate. So Marcus May, I think that's a good option if Devin McCourty indeed does not return to the Patriots. I hope he does. I think that should be a top priority for the Patriots, especially with all the other pieces on defense, all the different veterans and leaders that they're probably going to lose this season. So I think McCourty is somebody they should bring back. But if they do not, I think Marcus May is a great option. Like you said, maybe sign a prove-it deal. He was PFF's 5th highest graded safety, not this season that we just played, but the season before. So he's got plenty of potential. The year before that, in 2019, he was the 17th highest graded safety. So he's got talent. I think just last year, he didn't want to be on the Jets. That situation's been crumbling for a while now. So maybe you bring him in for a 1 year prove-it deal and let him prove his worth and try to fight for a bigger contract next season. But third guy we got on this list is a guy that just recently got cut. A little bit shocking. Not as shocking after the Russell Wilson news, but Bobby Wagner. I mean, great middle linebacker. He's a little bit older, obviously, but he's had 118 tackles this past year, 121 the year before, 117, 108, 108, 133, 110, 98, 103, 128. So he's basically been a 100 tackle plus guy every single year of his career except one. And that year he had 98. So he's great. He's a really talented linebacker. My only concern is that he's going to want decent money because he was going to be paid decent money this year. I think you said his cap hit was around $20 million. So
Yep.
if we can get him on a cheaper deal as an older guy, maybe a rental, maybe it's a 1 year deal, whatever it is, I think bringing in Bobby Wagner would fill a huge need at middle linebacker. And that would just be a great veteran leader to help develop Cam McGrone and any other linebackers that we take this year. If we take a guy in the second or third round, something like that. So bringing in Bobby Wagner would be huge. We already saw Matt Judon trying to recruit him, trying to bring him to New England. So hopefully we continue to see more of that. And maybe Bobby Wagner will be in contact with Bill Belichick soon.
Yeah, there's not a faster upgrade to the linebacker position this year than getting Bobby Wagner. This guy has been a stud ever since he entered the league in 2012, been an absolute menace, maybe one of the best linebackers in that time outside of Luke Kuechly, and maybe you can argue a couple other guys, but he's definitely a little bit out of his prime, but he's still playing very good football, and the leadership skills that he would bring, Bill would just love him. We're probably going to lose Hightower along. We already cut Van Noy. We need a little bit more veteran guy up in the front seven that can help lead it. Um, and he's been great, rushing the passer, run defense, in coverage. He really can do it all. And the scary thing is if you bring him in for an extended deal, a 3-year deal, you never know when he's going to want to hang it up because he's been playing the position at a high level for 9 years now. Played almost over 1,000 snaps in every year he's been in. That takes a toll on you at the middle linebacker position. So we'll see how much longer he has, but I think that this is a no-brainer if New England can get their hands on him for the right price for 1, maybe 2 years at most, and let him play some of his best football here, hopefully. And that's kind of a Bill Belichick special. Get a guy that maybe no one else wants, that people think is out of his prime, and turn him into something special the last 2 years. And I don't think that he's out of his prime by any means, and teams aren't going to want him, but he's definitely not, the 2017, 18, 19 Bobby Wagner that we have seen before. So next guy that we're going to talk about, staying at the linebacker position, this guy's going to be a free agent from the Green Bay Packers, Devondre Campbell. I think that this guy played a very good role this year, 111 solo tackles, 23 assisted, 2 interceptions. He runs good. He's up there in age. He's going to be 29 this year. I think that this is a guy that New England should definitely look at. He'd be a good scheme fit. Came from Atlanta, was in Arizona, kind of bounced around, really found himself this year in Green Bay. I'd love to add him in there. Like we mentioned, another veteran guy. I think him and Jawan Bentley can play well off of each other. And then whether you draft a linebacker that's a little bit more, smaller and lengthier and can guard the running back or tight end position a little better, or you have that in Cameron McGrone, Raekwon McMillan, one of those linebackers that really are improving, this could be a good leader for your defense that New England can add.
Yeah, and this past season was certainly a breakout season for him. He was PFF's second highest graded linebacker in the entire NFL. So that's impressive. I certainly think that'd be a good target if they don't get a guy like Bobby Wagner, if they lose Hightower, which I think would be smart probably. And even if they lose Jawan Bentley, I think Devondre Campbell's a guy who can play all 3 downs. You don't have to take him off the field very often. He's a guy that you want in there pretty much every single play. So I think he'd be a great addition to this Patriots defense, and certainly would fill a need that they have. And like you said, maybe McGrone, maybe they draft a linebacker and they can continue to develop alongside this guy. So great year this past season. I think he'd be a great fit in the Patriot system. But going to our final guy, cornerback, and this one is more of a man coverage corner. This one makes more sense. This is our number one option. This is a guy we think the Patriots should definitely sign. He's one of the best options out there for the price. Charvarius Ward from the Chiefs. His projected contract is 3 years, $10 million annually. Not too bad. He's about to turn 26 years old. He was PFF's 21st highest graded cornerback. He is a heavy zone coverage corner, would fit in the Patriot system perfect if this is what they want to continue to do. He had 2 interceptions, 56 solo tackles this past season. He was targeted 72 times, led up 36 receptions. He's pretty solid. He's not a number 1 stud corner. He's not JC Jackson, but he's a solid number 2 corner. And if you can pair him with Jalen Mills and draft a corner with either your first round pick or trade back early into the second round and get a guy like Kaiir Elam, I think that's a great option. I think pairing those guys together would be great. And it doesn't fill JC Jackson's shoes, but it certainly helps. And that's certainly better than going into the season with Jalen Mills, Jawan Williams, Sean Wade, and Miles Bryant as your starting corners. That's pretty scary. So I think Charvarius Ward would be a great option from the Chiefs. Not too bad of a price. a guy who's still young, probably going to be entering his prime with some room to develop. I think Belichick usually gets the best out of corners, and I think he'd be a great option for the Patriots.
Yeah, this is a guy that I love his size. I love his athleticism. I think that he's been great in Kansas City. He's posted a gosh, where did this just go now? Sorry. He posted a 51% completion percentage against him, only allowed 567 yards this year for Kansas City. He's played in big time games. Kansas City's been in the Super Bowl. They've been in deep playoff runs. He's had to guard some good receivers there, and he's held his own. I think that maybe he's just playing some of his best football too. He's only going to be 26 this year. This is a guy that Bill might be able to bring in for, like we said, around 10 million a year, and maybe get some of the best football out of him, and it might be considered a steal, and then he can maybe pull a JC and go chase the money after that. But I love this guy. I think this is a no-brainer for New England. It's got to be something that they discuss now, especially if they want to stay man heavy. Even if they do want to go a little zone, they got to stick to their identity, in my opinion. And this is a guy that can come in, fill a hole for the long-term issue, and still allow you to develop a guy behind him, whether it's in the draft or someone in-house or a young guy. So those are our 5 realistic Patriots options. Let us know which ones you guys would like to see. Maybe someone that we left off. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment. Let us know. We will have more info on all these guys, and hopefully some of them are signed by the next time we're live on Tuesday. Make sure you guys tune into that Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern time. But until now, we'll talk to you later.